On today's show, it's the Ottawa Senators' first opportunity to clinch a spot in the Stanley Cup playoffs. We'll preview the final road game of the season in Columbus against the Blue Jackets.
And we take a look at the career progression of the longest-serving Ottawa Senators player, a guy who deserves playoffs more than anyone else.
This is Brady Tkachuk, and you're listening to the Locked On Senators podcast.
Your Locked On Senators, your daily podcast on the Ottawa Senators. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Welcome. You are locked on to the Ottawa Senators, the only daily podcast covering the Sens. On the outskirts of enemy territory, I'm Ross Levitan, alongside Brandon Piller up in the Blue Mountains. Today's episode is brought to you by Monarch Money. Take control of your finances with Monarch Money. Use code LOCKEDONNHL at monarchmoney.com for 50% off your first year. Today is Tuesday, April 8th, and Pilsy, Brady Tkachuk has not made the trip to Columbus. He will remain out of the lineup as the Senators hope to get a playoff spot locked up.
I mean, they've been able to get the job done without him. I'm a little surprised, Ross. I kind of thought he would want to be there if and when the Ottawa Senators clinch their playoff spot, but I got no problem with the team and Brady just being like, look, rest up, stay home. It's the final road game of the season. You're going to be with the boys for the remainder of the regular season and beyond. Just stay home, I guess. But I did think he would want to be there for that moment if it happens.
Asterisk, TSN 1200 tweeted that out. So he's not on the ice for the morning skate, but we have seen it where maybe they jumped the gun a little bit on Twitter.
Oh, okay.
But according to TSN 1200, Brady Tkachuk has not made the trip to Columbus. And no surprise either, as the Sens are on the ice for the morning skate right now, Nick Jensen is not taking part. This has been a common theme throughout the second half of the season. Travis Hamonic is skating in his spot, but if we know anything of the last week, Nick Jensen will play in tonight's game. It's a matchup that will feel different than when these two teams met in Ottawa on Sunday. The Columbus Blue Jackets are much better at home than they have been on the road throughout the season. And this is a bit of a do or die situation for any hope of them sneaking up on the Montreal Canadiens for the final playoff spot. After the Sens win over Columbus, though, on Sunday, the Blue Jackets can no longer catch the Ottawa Senators, and neither can the New York Rangers after they fell 5-1 to Tampa Bay Lightning. We'll discuss the most up-to-date clinching scenarios for the Ottawa Senators at the end of today's show. We're also going to look at Thomas Chabot's career progression, all the different partners that he's had along the way, and why he is in a much better spot now than he ever has been for the Ottawa Senators. Shout out to our everydayers who make us your first listen each and every day here on the Locked On Podcast Network. We are as excited as we ever have been through 1,265 episodes of the show. The Senators closer than ever to clinching a playoff spot. Pilsy, I might take that back, though. We were pretty excited about the 2020 draft.
Yeah, that's fair. But I mean, Ross, my homepage, moneypuck.com, the Ottawa Senators are now at 100% to make the playoffs. 100%. Now, I know they haven't clinched yet, but it's one of those. It's just a matter of time. You just got to wait for the chips to fall the way they will. But this team's going to the playoffs. Like it's going to happen. And it's wild that it's taken this long for us to be able to have that, Ross. That first playoff postcast is going to hit so good. Those flutes will hit differently in the postseason. And let's quickly look back, Ross, when we started making sense of the Sens podcast. That was in 2017, the last time this team made the playoffs. They went on that run, and you and I looked at each other and were like, this is going to be awesome. Like, we're going to be covering playoff runs. We're going to be doing the pod well into May, year after year. This is going to be so much fun. Things took a bit of a turn, but that doesn't mean it hasn't been fun. But I'm ready to get back into the postseason. I'm ready to not book vacations in late April, late May, other than playoff games and going to the nation's capital. It's time to turn the chapter on the rebuild stage phase, and let's get to the big dance here.
And if you really want to get some build up for it, be like our great citizen Adam Prince, who was going back and commenting on YouTube shorts and YouTube videos from 2 seasons ago. One of them titled, "It's Always Darkest Before Dawn." And we have seen some things along the way. There was an episode we titled "Death by 3,000 Cuts," the days where they traded Mark Stone, Matt Duchene, Ryan Dzingel, one after the other.
And how about our, I forget what we called it, Ross, but our episode of airing out all our grievances, where we just unloaded the clip on all the negative things that had happened in this organization. We come a long way from that.
Yeah, but even after that, lots more happened. Like, that was the day before the 2020 draft, because we felt like we were turning a new page at the 2020 draft. Then we waited 310 days for the Ottawa Senators to play a game. And they started the season 1-10.
Yeah, I forgot it was that bad. That was
well, brutal. Yeah, they had 4 games against Edmonton right off the bat.
Yeah, oh man.
Yeah, of course, the win came against the Toronto Maple Leafs, which may spark some interest, with what could come in the next 2 weeks. Although nothing is set for playoff matchups. Tampa getting a win last night, so they're right on the heels of the Toronto Maple Leafs. Those 2 teams play head-to-head on Wednesday. There's still a lot to be figured out. There's still a chance that the Ottawa Senators and Toronto Maple Leafs could be the 2-3 matchup in the Atlantic Division.
It's crazy. And Tampa is not messing around. Like, Florida is messing around, benching guys, resting guys. Tampa got outshot 39-23 by a franchise that is fighting, or was fighting, for their playoff lives in the Rangers, and they whooped them 5-1. Like, man, that Tampa team is scary.
Shmuel Bulka, great citizen too, was at the game, and he said that it was 0-0 and the Rangers were out shooting the Lightning 11-2. John Cooper called a timeout, and 3 minutes later it was 3-0.
Wow. Yeah, I mean, that's the thing too. Not only are those players top notch, John Cooper is a guy that, for my money, Ross, can outcoach anyone in the league in the playoffs. I mean, we saw it at 4 Nations. Like, that is not a coach you want to go up against in a 7-game series.
Longest serving coach in the National Hockey League. But that's getting ahead of our skis here. We're going to talk about tonight's matchup, Senators and Blue Jackets. We'll have the postcast for you after the game. Every dayers always know that we will be here after each and every single Ottawa Senators game. Tonight, it's a 7 o'clock puck drop in Columbus against the Blue Jackets. Before we get to the Blue Jackets team, let's look at the Ottawa Senators, where there are no changes expected for the team that sent out a top line of Tim Stützle between Fabian Zetterlund and Claude Giroux on Sunday. Dylan Cousins centering David Perron and Drake Batherson. Third line stays intact. Shane Pinto with Ridley Gregg and Michael Amadio. Adam Gaudette between Angus Cruikshank and Matthew Highmore. On defense, Jake Sanderson and Artem Zub. Thomas Chabot and Nick Jensen. We're just going to leave it as such. We expect that to be the case. Travis Hamonic is skating in that spot, though, at the morning skate. And then Tyler Clevin with Nicholas Matin-Palo coming off his first National Hockey League goal. No word yet on who starts in goal. We'll see if we get the answer for that before the end of today's show. Pilsy, who's your locked-on player to watch for the final road game of the regular season? The Ottawa Senators come into this game 18-4. They have an opportunity here to end the season above 500 on the road.
Oh, that would be nice, Ross. I hope they get it done. My locked-on player is going to be number 33, Nicholas Matin-Palo. I mean, hey, this guy's coming off scoring his first career NHL goal. The boys were so happy for him. We saw the grin on his face. He had 3 shots on net. For some reason, he was a net front slot guy that poked in a loose puck. I couldn't believe it when I saw it. It was him that got that goal, but I'm happy for him. And I love the way him and Clevin have been playing lately. Like Mark Mathot highlighted it a couple games ago during an intermission, but they just make smart, simple plays in their own end that leads to transitioning the puck up the ice, getting the puck to the guys they know they need to get it to. I love the way that when a puck is dumped in their end, the guy that the corner it's in, he takes the hit, but he knows he can slide it over and his defense partner is going to be right there to swoop it up. Him and Clevin have been so good. I'm so glad they put those two back together. So number 33, Nicholas Matin-Palo is going to be my locked on player for tonight.
And as our friend Everyday Sens pointed out on Twitter, he also drew 2 penalties in that game. And the high danger chances when he was on the ice were 6-3 in favor of the Senators. Confidence goes a long way for hockey players. And I think Martin Palo, knowing that he's in the lineup every single game, has to be huge for his confidence. Speaking of huge, I love the fact that the Ottawa Senators' third pair is just 2 mutants back there. Tyler Clevin is listed at 6'5", 221 pounds, and Martin Palo's 6'3", 211 pounds. So to have that imposing physical aspect on the back end, I think is huge. And the back end of that, though, is sometimes that means who's the puck mover. But they've been efficient at getting the puck into the hands of their forwards. Yeah. So it's been a really nice touch. So I like that call, Pilsy, for Nicholas Martin Palo as your locked on player to watch tonight. My locked on player is going to be Shane Pinto. I want to see Pinto get consistent offense. He got the empty netter in the game on Sunday, but we know the stats, 23-1-1 when he gets a point this season. All time, it's just an outrageous number. He's now gotten points in 3 straight games, and that's big for him because in the previous 10 games, previous 9 games rather, he only had that 1 2-assist game. So if he can add that third layer of offense to the team, you're in such a great spot going down the stretch. So I'm going to be watching for Shane Pinto tonight and Ridley Gregg and Michael Amadio, that line, because Columbus, and we'll get to their lineup after the break, but their lineup is a little bit more front-loaded. Their third line is a very physical, very in-your-face, angry line. So they'll get last change. We'll see who they want to match up against, but I think if Shane Pinto and that third line can win their battles tonight, it'll give the Ottawa Senators the best opportunity to win the game.
Yeah, that line has been awesome. It's really great, Ross, to see each line has kind of slotted into their role nicely and plays a part for this team. I mean, even the fourth line last game, Adam Gaudette finally gets back on the score sheet. So the way that this roster is set up and the way that Travis Green has everyone playing gives me a lot of confidence going into playoffs.
Shane Pinto was like, I don't want to be tied with you, God. I know I respect your game, man. You're putting the puck in the net this season, but Gaudette got his 17th goal of the season. Shane Pinto's empty netter was his 18th goal of the season, and he has played 11 less games than Adam Gaudette. Okay, on the other side, how do the Columbus Blue Jackets line up in tonight's game? We'll look at Thomas Chabot's career progression, where it is just incredible. Like, the offense has maybe come down a bit, but the way the defense has progressed, it just gives you so much more confidence in him as a player. Still things to work on. We'll discuss that after the break. We'll wrap up today's show with how the Senators can clinch a playoff spot today. You're listening to Locked On Senators, your team every day.
Today's episode is brought to you by our friends over at Monarch Money. Have you guys ever checked your bank account and you're sitting there wondering, where did all my money go? Well, between dining out, online shopping, entertainment, and more, it's easy to lose track. But that's where Monarch Money comes in, your personal CFO, giving you full visibility and control over your finances. Monarch Money isn't just a budgeting app. It's a complete financial command center. You can track all your accounts, investments, and spending in one place. So stop just managing your money. Start building your wealth. Instead of juggling multiple apps, you can use Monarch to check your finances, track your spending, and even plan your long-term goals. Managing money with your partner is smoother than ever. You can track shared and personal accounts, set goals, and stay on the same page without all that stress. So take control of your finances with Monarch Money. Use code LOCKEDONNHL at monarchmoney.com for 50% off your first year. That's monarchmoney.com, code LOCKEDONNHL for half off your first year.
Pilsy, the Ottawa Senators in Columbus at 7 o'clock tonight. The Senators looking to end the season above 500 on the road, and they've got their final 4 games at home after this one. They will be hosting Montreal, Philadelphia, Chicago, and Carolina. We've been talking about that last 9 of the last 11 games at home. The Senators are 4-1-0 in the first 5 of those home games. So maybe we were on to something early in the season where just get to that point and make your final push. The Senators are doing just that, sitting at 90 points, first in the wild card race and just 2 points behind the Florida Panthers. Later on in the show, we'll discuss how things could shake out in that situation. We'll look at the out-of-town scoreboard tonight. But Pilsy, the Columbus Blue Jackets, an elite team at home, and they deserve some respect here, even though Ottawa shut them out 4-0 in Ottawa earlier on this weekend on Sunday. But the Blue Jackets' record at home is astounding. 22, 10, and 5. That's incredible when you look at it contrasted against a 12, 23, and 4 record on the road. We know that the fans are extremely passionate in Columbus. We know they're playing for something bigger than just hockey this season, the legacy of Johnny Gaudreau and that horrific tragedy before the season. And I wanted them to make the playoffs, Pilsy. They still got a little bit of a chance. So don't think this is a meaningless game for Columbus, because in their heads, if they win tonight, they will just be 6 points behind the Montreal Canadiens. And if Montreal loses tonight, they still have a game in hand there too.
Yeah, their playoff percentages on moneypuck.com, Ross, are 0.3%.
Oh, damn.
So there's still a chance. There's still a chance. And speaking of Johnny Gaudreau, did you see his wife just had her third child?
Yeah.
But did you see the crazy stat about it?
No.
His height and weight, the exact same height and weight that Johnny was when he was born.
No way, man. That's so heartbreaking.
Crazy.
Oh, man.
Yeah. So,
such a senseless tragedy, man.
Yeah, of course. But I mean, like, I don't know. I kind of view that as like, not obviously not like a tribute, but that's some
a
sort
sign.
That's a sign that, there's a lot more than just hockey going on for the Columbus team. And for that child to be born just recently, they're probably playing with that on the mind as well. And then a home game in Columbus, that's going to be huge for them. So it would have been nice, Ross. I was hoping that they were the team that gets in the second wild card spot, certainly more than I was hoping the Montreal Canadiens would. But it's going to be tough for them, and I don't think the Ottawa Senators are going to do them any favors tonight.
Yeah, I think the Sens are going to come to play tonight. By the way, Anton Forsberg will start in goal for the Ottawa Senators tonight, and here's who he will be going up against. Sean Monahan centering the top line with Boone Jenner and Kirill Marchenko. Second line of Adam Fantilli with James Van Riemsdyk and Kent Johnson. Third line of Cole Sillinger with Dmitry Voronkov and Mathieu Olivier. And the fourth line is Sean Corrali with Zach Aston Reese and Justin Danforth. On the back end, Zach Werenski with Dante Fabro, Danton Matejchuk with Ivan Provorov, and Jake Christensen with Eric Goodbranson. Elvis Merzlikins will start in goal. He was fantastic coming in relief of Tarasov. What's his first name, Tarasov?
Daniil
Tarasov after 4.5 minutes of their last game. Pilsy, who are you looking out for tonight for Columbus?
I'm looking out for number 4, Cole Sillinger. Now, this is a guy that obviously in the draft world was kind of tied to Tyler Boucher, picked 1 pick after him by the Columbus Blue Jackets, 2 picks rather after him in that 2021 draft. He was a guy I was targeting for the Ottawa Senators to select. Now, he popped off in his rookie year, 16 goals, 15 assists. I think he had his 16 goals like in the first half of the season too. He was just lighting it up, but he's kind of plateaued around that 30-point mark. He had 31 points that year, 32 points last year, and he's projected to get 33. He's got 30 right now. He's sitting at 9 goals, but he hasn't scored a goal since February 2nd. So it's been a bit of a drought for him. So I'm going to be looking for him to shoot the puck a bunch here. I do think he might have had an injury in between there. So the games played isn't all of them, but he's on that third line, like you mentioned, Ross, and maybe he's not part of that physicality in your face type player, but his wingers certainly are, and that might create more time and space for him to do his thing. I know he only has 9 goals on the season, and it's been a while for him to score, but he does have a dangerous shot if he's in the right spots.
Yeah, he definitely does. He's a good player and one of those kind of more rare shoot first centermen in the National Hockey League. So we'll be watching for that. My lookout player is going to be Adam Fantilli. I've really enjoyed watching him grow through the first 2 seasons of his career. Dealt with a little bit of injury issues throughout that time too, but that was more last year. This year he's played 76 games, has 47 points. I think he's going to be a stud in the National Hockey League. It was a huge surprise to me that he went 3rd overall, but you can't really argue that now, seeing how Leo Carlsson has played with the Anaheim Ducks through the early part of his career. But Adam Fantilli, his last 2 games have not gone the way that he would have liked. He was 2 for 9 in the faceoff dot against Ottawa and was -3 overall. He's a -6 in his last 2 games. So this is a situation where they need that secondary offense after the Monahan line to produce. So I'm going to be looking out for Adam Fantilli because he's one of the rare players on this team that has that instant offensive capability. Just about a week and a half ago, he had a hat trick. Last week, he had a 3-point night against Nashville. So he's a guy where he can catch a heat wave at any moment and come out and burn you. So I'm looking for Adam Fantilli as a guy that the Senators, if possible, you're looking to match up Shane Pinto against Adam Fantilli over the Monahan line. At least me personally, I'd go Cousins line against Sean Monahan.
Oh, yeah? Okay.
Yeah,
That's interesting.
I would. I mean, I'd like to get Timmy against that third line, even though that maybe you're going to take a little bit more physical abuse. But yeah, I mean, they don't get last change. I don't think it matters as much. But yeah, I'd be looking to get Pinto out against Fantilli as much as possible.
I think, again, doesn't matter because they don't get home change. I think I would go Sens third line up against that top line because that's where all the points are coming from, Monahan and Marchenko. Then I would go the third line, the second line for the Sens up against that third line because you got a little bit of size there with Cousins and Batherson that hopefully can handle that physicality. And then I guess you go second line. No, now I'm confused here. First line for the Sens up against the second line for the Blue Jackets. I think I lined those up properly.
Yeah, and you get a little history there. Former teammates James Van Riemsdyk and Claude Giroux going head to head.
Yeah, true. JVR is actually having kind of a nice season. 14 goals, 16 assists, 30 points for him, and I believe he signed
he's a PTO that earned a contract.
Yeah, so he was just there, and Columbus gave him a chance, and he's worked out really great for them.
Yeah, definitely. And again, we wished better for Columbus, but they have been struggling quite a bit recently to stack points. They are currently in a situation of 3 straight losses and 3 6-1 in their last 10 games. Kind of fallen out of the race, as Pilsy mentioned. Their percentage chance of making playoffs is hovering around 0.
In the goaltending, Ross, Merzlikins and Tarasov, I mean, as we saw, just haven't got it done. Merzlikins is at a 3.2 goals against, an 891 save percentage, and then Tarasov a 354 goals against and an 881. Sens fans know what it's like to have talent up front, young talent up front, but not get the goaltending, and it'll sink you.
Yeah, it will. We'll see how they do tonight. The Ottawa Senators taking on the Columbus Blue Jackets. On the other side, Thomas Chabot's career progression and how to clinch a playoff spot, not later, but today. You're listening to Locked On Senators, your team every day.
Today's episode is brought to you by our friends over at Indeed. You just realized your business needed to hire someone yesterday. How can you find amazing candidates fast? It's easy. Just use Indeed. When it comes to hiring, Indeed is all you need. Stop struggling to get your job post seen on other sites. Indeed's sponsored jobs puts your post at the top of the page to help you reach the right candidates faster. Have you been in that spot where your business needs the right hire like yesterday? The pressure's on and every day without the right person is setting you back? Well, that's exactly when Indeed sponsored jobs come in handy. They make sure your post is seen by the right candidate right now. Now you can speed up your hiring process with a $75 sponsored job credit. Just go to Indeed.com/lockedon right now and support our show by saying you heard about Indeed on the Locked On Senators podcast. Terms and conditions apply. Hiring, Indeed, is all you need.
right, Pillsy. Game day for the Senators. We will see y'all in the postcast right after the Ottawa Senators clinch a playoff spot. Maybe there are multiple ways the Senators can do that. But let's discuss Thomas Chabot because he is the longest serving Ottawa Senator. He's over 500 career games. He has been through the worst of the absolute worst of this team. Heck, he even made his NHL debut the season the Senators went to the conference finals. He played one game, 7 minutes, and was -2 against the Phoenix Coyotes. That's how long ago Thomas Chabot made his NHL debut. He went back to junior that season, was the only defenseman in World Juniors history to win MVP. He came up full-time in the National Hockey League next season, and since then, the Ottawa Senators have turned over their entire decor 8.5 times. He has played with 43 other defensemen alongside him. And finally, this season has found a partner that he has played over 800 minutes with for the first time in his career.
Yeah, it's crazy. We're going to go over these numbers, but also crazy, Ross, to hear you say he played against the Phoenix Coyotes. That is the Utah Hockey Club, then being named the Arizona Coyotes, then being named the Phoenix Coyotes. Like, it has been a while for Thomas Chabot. So, yeah, he deserves this. And shout out him hitting his 500th game, Ross. We have to give him that shout out because he joined us for our 500th episode. So
yep,
we got the 500 connection there with Shabby. And
like Chris Kelly scored a goal for the Ottawa Senators in Thomas Chabot's first career game.
Yeah, that's crazy. And he earned that first star of the game in last game. He had 2 assists. I thought he played really well. So, and it was great to see him get that moment to chat with Claire Hanna in front of the crowd at the end of the game.
Nobody deserves play. I told him that at the Sens Gala. I said, buddy, like, you've been grinding through this. And let's take a look because the LOSB stats department was hard at work trying to figure out who has he played with. And in his first full season in the National Hockey League, we just did the top 3 partners at 5-on-5. There's obviously going to be more throughout if you dig deeper into the numbers. But in his first season, he played 400 minutes with Erik Karlsson, 271 minutes with Cody Ceci, and 70 minutes with Mark Borowiecki. The next year was his most reliable partner. People remember Dylan DeMello being just that. And he played 772 minutes with DeMello, 247 with Cody Ceci, and 116 with Christian Jaros. Tackling Christian Jaros. That he hasn't played in the NHL in like 7 years. And then you look at the next year.
Wait, just quickly about Christian Jaros, Ross. Fun little story. I wore his skates on the day that I was Belly, the Belleville mascot. They were the only skates at CAA Arena. They said, hey, these are Christian Jaros' skates. Want to put them on while you're skating around dressed as Belly. They fit perfectly. So that is my Christian Jaros connection.
That's hilarious. I thought he was going to be the next best right shot physical defenseman in the league. I was so high on Christian Jaros. This was where things got really rough. When Dylan DeMello got traded, his Chabot's 2 most played with partners, Ron Hainsey, almost 600 minutes, and 400 minutes with Nikita Zaitsev.
When we started this exercise, Ross, I said Nikita Zaitsev will be the guy that Chabot has played the most minutes with, and you're about to see on these 3 years, and I think even one more beyond this, that Zaitsev was anchored to Thomas Chabot, as Sens fans know painfully too well.
It was the most self-inflicting, unnecessary pain the Senators have ever caused on a blue chip prospect.
Yeah, definitely.
This was the years where Thomas Chabot was 21, 22, and 23 years old. And he played, 1,200 minutes with Nikita Zaitsev? Unacceptable. The COVID-shortened season, he played 764 minutes with Zaitsev, 81 with Gabranson, the second most. He didn't play more than 81 minutes with anybody more than Nikita Zaitsev. This is obviously just among defensemen. And then Zub came into the mix. That pair played quite a bit, but DJ Smith just kept going back to Nikita Zaitsev. He couldn't help himself, and he even played 128 minutes with Lassie Thompson that season. And then let's get to the last 3, because this is where the rebuild was supposed to be over. He still could not break it. DJ Smith just needed to get him with Zaitsev. Then Zaitsev got traded. He played way more with Zoo, played a bit with Brandstrom that year. Last year, it was a mess with Jacob Chychrun. 343 minutes together, just negative energy, 2 left shot defensemen. Both wanted to hold the puck as much as possible. It just didn't work. And then finally, Pilsy, they did it. They found a partner for Thomas Chabot, Nick Jensen, playing alongside him. And there's no surprise that Thomas Chabot is about to have his first plus season in his career.
Yeah, it's crazy. And to play over 900 minutes with someone, just in general, is pretty impressive. And him and Nick Jensen, they're leading the way as far as plus minus goes. Their Chabot is at a plus 14, and Nick Jensen leads the team with a plus 19. So they've just been so good when they're together. I love the chemistry that these two guys have. I think around the league, people look at the Chychrun for Jensen in a third trade as a net loss as far as value goes for the Ottawa Senators. But Sens fans know the value that Nick Jensen has brought this team in being a stable partner for Thomas Chabot. And they knew that Jacob Chychrun just didn't fit in with this lineup. So it ends up being a trade that works for both teams. Obviously, the Caps are excited about it. They signed Chychrun to that mammoth contract.
This is Thomas Chabot's 8th full National Hockey League season. And he's about to be a plus for the first time in his career. Dash 12, dash 12, dash 18, dash 15, dash 3, dash 11, dash 3. Now he's plus 14 alongside Nick Jensen. Nick Jensen leads the Senators with a plus 20, I believe, rating. Thomas Chabot's offense is staying steady, I would say, if not even regressing a little bit because he missed so much. I mean, that's another part of this too that we haven't mentioned. Thomas Chabot is finally staying healthy for a full season. And that's got to be so important. We talk about for Martin Palo just being in the lineup every night. I mean, it's pretty well the same for Thomas Chabot since the COVID-shortened season where he played all 71 games, 49 out of 56, then 59 out of 82, 68, 51. And now finally, he's at a point where he's playing just about every single game for the Ottawa Senators. He's shooting the puck a lot, 167 shots on goal. He could set a career high. I don't know if he'll get there. He needs 19 more shots to tie his career high in shots on goal. He's, I think, more confident in putting pucks towards the net. He still has a little bit of an issue with the accuracy. Find a lot of his shots are getting blocked or not finding their way on goal. I just love that he's slotted properly. That's another thing. Jake Sanderson coming in.
That's what I wanted to get into.
Taking the load off. So go off on that because he had played over 100 more minutes 2 seasons ago. In 2019, the year he played 71 games. So 6 less games than he's played now. And he played 100 more minutes at this point in the season.
Can you pull that hockey reference up again? Does it have his average time on ice for the seasons? Because I'd be curious to see how that has changed.
I can scroll to the right for that. Yeah, there you go.
Yeah, so look at this. There's years where he's averaging 24-17, 26, 26, 26, 24-58. Like, that is just too much for a guy, and especially a guy that had been anchored with a poor partner for almost that entire stretch. So having Jake Sanderson come in as this team's number 1 defenseman allows Thomas Chabot to be properly slotted as a number 2 defenseman, the top guy on a second pair. It's worked wonders for him. And we talk about Thomas Chabot missing time. The issue is, Ross, that he would miss time at the end of the year because he's running on fumes. He's barely hanging on because he's had to hold this decor up all by himself. And then by the time it gets to game 60, 65, he's got nothing left, and you can't blame the guy. So now being properly slotted, having Jake Sanderson there is so huge. Having a proper partner is massive. And Ross, this is when we need Thomas Chabot the most right now at the end of the season and come playoff time. So I'm so happy for a guy like Shabby. Like we mentioned, he's earned it. He's put the work in. He's been a good soldier for this organization. And it's looking great for how he fits into this team now.
Thank God he didn't get to Jeff Skinner levels of games played without a Stanley Cup playoff game. Jeff Skinner's at 1,073. He will make it this year, obviously, as he's moved on to Edmonton. Years in Buffalo will do that. And then literally the year he left Carolina, they haven't missed the playoffs since.
Man, I feel bad for him, but yes, he's going to get his opportunity here.
Yes, and thank goodness, because Thomas Chabot, among Ottawa Senators all-time games played, he's in 12th spot. Actually, 3 games less than Brady Tkachuk. It'll be 2 after tonight, but he has obviously missed some time over the course of his career. Among defensemen in Ottawa Senators history, only Erik Karlsson, Wade Redden, and Chris Phillips have played more games than Chabot's 508. So we are very happy for Thomas Chabot to get that he will get that opportunity. Always the first guy to face the media, whether they win or lose. And there's a reason why he wears an A on the back end for the Senators. All right, Pillsy, clinching scenarios. Everybody wants to know, how can the Ottawa Senators get in? And you have 2 simple words that can get the job done.
Just win.
Yes.
It's easy. I don't want to, I know we're going to get into it again, Ross, but this is the podcast. We got to discuss it. But for me, just get those wins, get that X beside your name, and then we don't have to worry about the crazy domino effect. But I'll let you lay it out for the good people. It's not that crazy, actually.
No,
right?
just win.
Yeah. Well,
just
win. Yeah.
If the Senators lose tonight's game in regulation, they need the Detroit Red Wings to lose the game. They need the Detroit Red Wings to lose to the Montreal Canadiens.
Even in overtime?
I believe so. There's a yes, even in overtime. But if they win in overtime, there's still, I think, a 0.001% chance that the Red Wings can catch Ottawa.
You did the math on that?
No, I didn't. Not a math guy. You know that. But the Ottawa Senators can make it very easy on themselves. Even if they lose in overtime and then Detroit loses, that's good enough. They just need to get 1 point separating the Senators and the Red Wings, because right now the Red Wings can get to 91 points. Ottawa's at 90, but Detroit would have to win all their games in regulation to then tie. So if Ottawa loses in overtime, Detroit can't win in regulation, and it's a clinch.
Yeah, I feel good. I feel good about the situations here, Ross.
All right. We are going to have Dr. Bob on the postcast tonight as our boots on the ground report. He's going to be in Columbus, and we talked about Thomas Chabot deserving playoffs. Dr. Bob has driven all over this continent. He's gone overseas to Sweden.
Yep.
Since the last time he's seen the playoffs in Ottawa. And I mean, think about those road trips out west when Ottawa only won 1 game out west that entire season.
And he's driving out there, yeah.
He drove to Arizona, watched them lose there and Vegas, the trip where they fired DJ Smith. And I think 2 weeks either before or after, he did the entire California trip and drove back to Ontario in between. So I think if Ottawa is able to get it done tonight, there's nobody that deserves to be on the postcast more than Dr. Bob.
Yeah, the kilometers traveled is nuts.
I feel like Dr. Bob is a math guy, so we're going to have to get the stats on that.
Sure. Yeah, let's do it.
All right, Pillsy, any final thoughts on today's show?
Yeah, final thoughts for me, Ross. I just don't want to hear the cannon tonight for the Columbus Blue Jackets. I know we shut them out at home, but let's have a cannonless day again today. Anton Forsberg, he's been hot lately. If he can keep the shutout streak going here, I think it was 153 minutes of shutout hockey. So tack another 60 on there. If you can get to math guy 203 straight minutes without allowing a goal, whew, that'd be sweet.
We've created a monster. I've got 2 final thoughts, but we've created a monster. Mark Mathot has updated his profile picture on Twitter. If you follow along on Twitter at Sens Central, I've been going big head Mark Mathot every time he's on TV. I take the angled photo of my television. Pillsy, have you seen this yet?
I haven't seen his profile pic, but Ross, he's got a big head. It's just all that hockey IQ that needs to fit in there, right?
Exactly. Well, here is Mark Mathot's new profile picture. He's taking it a step further.
Mega mind.
Pure mega mind there, Mark Mathot. Funniest guy going on TV. And
with
tonight,
the picnic table suit too.
it's just all time. And I don't even want to know how much that watch costs. I just know I can't afford it. So great that the games are being broadcast mostly on TSN right now. It'll be a road game, so we won't see meth. It's wild the difference in quality when we get the road games versus home, because it's on the road. Yeah, they've got an analyst in studio, and we love hearing Cheryl Pound or Mike Johnson, whoever's doing the game, do their analysis. But then they just go with a pre-recorded insider trading or whatever it is. It's like we want to hear about the game that's happening right now. Speaking of broadcasting, my final thoughts, we just want to say rest in peace, and thoughts and prayers are with the family of Greg Millen, a longtime broadcaster, called some iconic moments in Ottawa Senators history. He was on the call for that Senators Bruins series back in 2017. Always enthusiastic, always, you could just feel the passion of the game coming out of his voice. We didn't have the chance to meet him. He was a former goalie, so we know we would have loved him as a hashtag goalie friendly show. Played in the National Hockey League for a number of years, played for the Penguins, the Whalers, the Blues, the Nordiques, the Blackhawks, the Red Wings, a Toronto native, and unfortunately passed away yesterday at the age of 67, gone far too soon. And he was a color commentator, primarily covering the Calgary Flames. So our thoughts, obviously, everybody that knew him in the industry, and John Abbott was just calling games with him this season. So we're just devastated by this news as well. In the hockey world, they come together in these types of moments. So we just wanted to pay our respects to Greg Millen, gone far too soon at the age of 67.
Yeah, well said, Ross. Definitely thinking of his family and friends. And he's worked with a lot of people throughout his NHL playing career and then broadcasting career as well. Chris Johnson actually did a story on The Athletic. Go check it out. Or, sorry, it's Rob Rossi did a story on The Athletic talking about Greg Millen. So if you want to learn more, go check that out for sure.
Game day for the Ottawa Senators tonight, 7 o'clock start in Columbus. We will be back for the postcast after the game. Thank you for liking, watching, listening, and engaging with the show. It means a lot to us. All the everydayers that ride with us, everybody who makes us their first listen each and every day on the Locked On Podcast Network. We cannot thank you enough. The best is yet to come for the Ottawa Senators. We got a great week planned. We're going to compare, contrast this Ottawa Senators team against the last one that made the Stanley Cup playoffs. Could we have some big interviews? You'll have to wait and see. For Brandon Piller, I'm Ross Levitan. This has been another edition of the Locked On Senators podcast, your team every day.